Welcome to the Mary Dee Show. I'm your host, Mary Dee, here to be your guide as we extract wisdom and life lessons from top CEOs, thought leaders, artists, spiritual luminaries, and wellness experts. My intention is to bring you value in every show that sparks an idea, helps you break a limiting belief, or creates thoughts that up-level your life so that you can know from the deepest depths of your soul that everything you want is available to you and that abundance is your birthright. In 2018, I healed from breast cancer holistically after surgery without the use of chemotherapy or pharmaceuticals. I love biohacking and plant medicine and exploring spirituality and what it means to be in relationship with Source so that we can feel whole and complete no matter what life throws at us. My specialty in the business world is strategy and leadership, and my gift to each of you is my ability to listen so that I can help others see themselves. In each episode, I want to sprinkle you with some hope dust, tickle your funny bone, and inspire you to find your inner roar. Get ready to live your most purposeful and joy-filled life now and enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Today I am kicking off the Mary Dee Show. And for everyone listening, I just want to say welcome, thank you, and I can't wait to be your guide, your host, your friend, all the things on this magical mystery ride of a show. And I hope that this will be the catalyst that helps you discover more joy and alignment and fulfillment in your life. I'm known as the Joy Catalyst because I love to inspire joy in others. My intention for the show is that we sow some seeds of inspiration into your life that allow you to build your confidence and courage to go out there and live your very best life, free of limiting beliefs that don't serve you, full of purpose and intention on your journey through this human experience. In this season, we're going to talk about topics that will both enrich and challenge your belief around topics like sex and love, drugs and plant medicine, religion and spirituality, life and death, and what it means to be human and to be conscious. We're also going to talk about leadership and how you show up as the CEO of your life, because your life is a reflection of your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to actions, and your actions lead to results. So if you want to improve your results in life, chances are you also need to improve your thoughts. And that's where they begin. So this show isn't about right and wrong, but rather what is right or wrong for you based on your values that allow you to live authentically. It's about asking great questions that you can walk away with and ask yourself, is any of this true for me? And if it is, do I have the courage to own it fully so I can live a life that feels fulfilled because I am a product of my values? Can I take full ownership of my feelings and stop making excuses for how I feel or where I'm at in life if I'm not living the life that I want? You might be asking yourself, Mary, why should I listen to you? And what I'm actually going to ask you to do is, yes, listen to me and listen to the experts, but most of all, listen to yourself. Listen to that still, small voice inside. Because at the end of the day, you hold all the answers to all of your most important questions. The answers are already inside of you. You just might need to dig a little bit to find them. And that leads us to our first piece of wisdom that I want to share with you today, which is it's not about the messenger, it's about the message. So your ability to learn is going to be in direct correlation with how open you are to receiving knowledge. Can you listen to the messenger and take what you need from the message without respect to that messenger? So when I was in my early 20s, I hired my first life coach, and I learned so much from him. I also saw that he was actually really dysfunctional in many areas of his life. And I look at him now because he's still around. And if I didn't know who he was and I heard him speak or I saw an ad, I can tell you that I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. But at the time, 20 years ago, he gave me exactly the advice I needed to hear at the time I needed to hear it. I've worked with many influencers in my lifetime, and the one thing that rings true is this. They all have magic. They all have knowledge. They all have great information to share, and they can change people's lives and do it every day. And they're all imperfect. Some of them are even what I would call a hot mess. I've seen the most magnetic personalities create millions of dollars and help thousands of people, but they can't keep any of the money they make because they overspend or they don't actually have any sense of how to operate a business. They inspire others, but they have their own set of demons in a closet that they're, slow to clear out. Some are doing the work. Some pretend to do the work. Some don't do the work at all. In all of this, I do think that there is one grand lesson of life. And it's that even within our own dysfunction, within our own imperfection, we can still learn valuable lessons from each other. In the words of Tony Robbins, I am not your guru. The leader that you need most in your own life is actually you. You should be able to stand in front of yourself, in front of a mirror, stare at yourself in the eyes, and know that with your whole heart, you are that person. The problem is that we're all looking around for someone to go first when we're the ones that need to go first. Now, from an integrity standpoint, I believe that we should be walking our walk and talking our talk. My point, though, is that the message is more important than the messenger. Messengers will disappoint you somewhere along the way. And when they do, it doesn't mean that you should throw out the lessons with it. I'm really excited about all of our guests on the show this season, and I know that they have incredible messages to share. I also know that they're not all perfect, but I'm doing my best to bring you the best of the best people I know and love, who have value to bring you and can get you those beautiful aha moments, delicious pieces of information that stretches you and helps you show up in your life, helps enrich your life. You may feel activated or triggered by something that challenges a belief you're holding on to, especially in those moments. That's where I want to invite you in to lean in, ask yourself, why are you feeling the activation and where does the feeling come from? You might discover that your beliefs are a result of a belief system that was passed down to you and not one that's actually your own. For example, when I was a kid, I grew up in a non-denominational Christian household, and the church we went to 4 times a week liked to scare people into heaven. That's what I call it scaring people into heaven. They were always judging and accusing people for every little thing. They would take a bullhorn on the street corner and tell people that they were going to hell if they didn't get their heart right with God. And I never felt aligned with how they produced that message. I never felt aligned because to me, it felt like they were beating people over the head with the Bible and scaring them into heaven. I've seen religion chain people to beliefs that they need to be perfect and that they're never good enough. I've also seen a lot of people wallow in shame and guilt because they struggle with rules around religion. And I'm not saying that church is a bad place. I'm just saying that in my experience, this is what I've seen. And I'm just sharing that in the context of the story with you today. Because when the people at the church I went to would tell people they're going to hell if they didn't get their heart right with God, that sentence has a whole new meaning to me later in life than it did at the time when I first heard it. Because what I hear now is if you don't get your heart right with God, then you will afflict upon yourself your own personal hell. And that has a lot to do with how we operate in our own mind, the stories we tell ourselves, and those beliefs that we're holding on to, whether they're serving us or not. I felt close to God as a child. I am so grateful for the foundation that my family imparted upon me. I'm grateful for listening to how God speaks to me and has allowed me to separate out the man-made beliefs and the noise into something tangible into my life where I am whole in my own decisions and where I know what God sounds like. So when I'm being led by God, I don't need someone else to tell me how to live my life. I can embrace others for their differences, and I don't have to make them wrong for how they want to commune with God. So, for example, if saving your virginity for marriage, if that's what makes you feel drawn to God, then hold on to your innocence. But if the idea of sex makes you feel guilty or shameful for wanting to create physical intimacy with another person, then that's where I would encourage you to lean in. I've had some of the most connected and fulfilling sexual intimacy with men I wasn't married to. And I've deeply loved men I barely ever or never had sexual intimacy with. And the reason both have worked for me is because I didn't let guilt or shame dictate how I love another person or how I choose an intimate partner. The day I stopped allowing anyone to make me feel guilty about sexual expression is the day I was able to take full ownership of my emotions and throw out limiting beliefs that caused me quite a bit of grief growing up. And those lessons have resulted in a lot of freedom for me as an adult. Quick recap. Lesson number 1 is don't confuse the message with the messenger. Trust that you're going to hear exactly what you need to hear to get what you need to hear, and that you're going to get exactly what's needed in this moment. Lesson number 2, own that you are the CEO of your life. You are ultimately your own boss. You get to close your eyes and go to bed with yourself every night. So own who you are, own your actions. And if you don't like what you see or how you feel, then own the right to change those things in your life. The last lesson is lesson number 3. Everything is available for you. The only limitations that exist are the ones you put in front of yourself or choose to believe are there. We like to tell ourselves stories, and it's within the stories that we speak our truth and our reality. For the story I just told you about sexual intimacy, for example, I gave you my version of my truth. Someone else could be listening to this story who married their first love, and that's the only person they've ever been with. They feel whole and fulfilled in that relationship, and everything within them is telling them that's a blessing from God. They're glad they upheld their chastity, and that's how they walk through life. And you know what? For that person, I say to you, that is amazing. I am so glad that your reality is to only have known one partner your whole life, and that feels good for you. I'm like, shoot, get it, girl. If one sexual partner your whole life worked and chastity was your highest value and that puts you into alignment with living authentically, then hold on to it and be a light and an example for other people who hold that same value. We can both live our lives differently to achieve the same results. The day I set myself free of guilt and shame was the day I set God free. It was the day I stopped believing that God had any limitations. I quit putting God in a box. God is limitless and abundant, and that means as a child of God, I am too, and so are you, darling. So one more quick recap. Lesson 1 for today is don't confuse the message with the messenger. Number 2 is own that you are the CEO of your life. Number 3, the last lesson, is everything is available to you. My name is Mary Dee, and on next week's show, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Kisma. She's a prosperity code mentor, spiritual badass, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. Until then, may abundance always walk beside you, may joy always go before you, and may love always guide you on your path. Thank you for joining us on today's show. I hope that today's session inspires you to live an aligned life where you get to take complete ownership of your feelings and decisions to live in your truth. You can connect with me at www.marydee.com. That's MARYDEE.com. Follow and like us at Facebook or Instagram at The Mary Dee. That's the THE Mary Dee, MARYDEE.